My goodness, I just recorded like 10 minutes worth of video and I didn't even record apparently. I thought I hit record, but I guess I didn't. This video is cost saving tips. At least the start of them. There's no way I can cover what I have written down here within the span of one video. I'd already recorded another video this morning too, so don't have that much voice left in me, but I'm going to cross a few of these and it's going to be a video series more than likely. Please by all means share tips that you have below. I think we all need them right now. I do not know everything and I certainly can learn some new ones myself. I love to learn as many as I can, and even if it's a very common tip, please share it anyway, because who knows, there's lots of people who do not know how to cook and do not know very, very basic things like being frugal, because we have lived in a time of abundance for so long, and now that inflation is really starting to hit people, costs of so many things like gas are rising. My utilities haven't risen a lot yet, but I expect that they probably will. But so many things have gone high. Our insurance, oh my goodness, our insurance renewal was insane. We're shopping around on that. But anyway, this is cost-saving frugal tips. This type of video has not done well for me in the past, but I don't care. I think we all need to hear it. I think it needs to be out there for everybody to hear right now. My very first and most huge tip is don't eat out. We all know this. I know you know it. I know it. But goodness, when you eat out, it is just so expensive. And I admit my husband and I were getting bad about doing it way more than we should. And, you know, we really, really reined that in this year. We're not perfect, but we are so much better than we were. And it has helped tremendously. It does mean you need to pre-plan, have freezer meals or some kind of a backup plan when it's time to do your dinner. And just do the best you can there, because if you get to that 4 o'clock time frame in your day and you're like, oh no, I have to have dinner by 5, I have not laid anything out, I don't know what I'm going to make, this is a big problem, blah, always have some backup meals. And this is something that helps kind of save my tush kiss all the time. Like right now in my fridge, I know I have hot dogs, which I know people, some y'all find that gross, but I could do hot dogs quickly. Salmon patties, that's something I could do fast, because all I have to do is open the can and I'll thaw something. And I have various old things of like frozen soups that are in my freezer inside, and then my garage freezer probably has some pre-cooked things too. I don't have a ton of freezer meals right now, but there are times that I do, because especially if I'm getting ready to go out of town and visit my mother, then I tend to make a lot of freezer meals so my husband can eat easily while I'm gone, and he doesn't have to call for delivery or, you know, make anything or whatever where he's trying to work too. So having freezer meals helps tremendously. It's a really good use of resources to spread them out evenly into perfect portions, and I think you just have less waste when you do them. You may need containers and freezer space obviously, but it can really be a blessing when you have them. If you're about to have a baby or something like that, oh yeah, have as many of those as you can, and people can even come together to bring them to you as a gift or things like that. If you can say, hey, that's one of the needs I have, please bring me a meal. I personally would probably never ask, but that's how I am. But some people are totally fine with that, and that is a blessing to have freezer meals. And you could even have freezer desserts, all sorts of stuff. There's so many things you can do. But next major tip through here with food is make sure you use your leftovers. How often do we not do that? I am so guilty of that. I've tried to be a ton better, and I have been lately, about not letting things go to waste. It's very important, because it is just such a shame to waste resources like that. I think we've all done it. You buy especially vegetables with that intention of, I'm going to have these nice healthy salads this week and do this particular thing, and then you don't get to them, and the next week you have hairy lettuce in your fridge or whatever. You don't want that. Be very careful about what you buy. Meal plan. I think that's on my list here later to talk about further, but that alone will help you. But try to use those leftovers. Don't let them just sit there and go to waste. If you're tired of a food, best thing you can do is pop it in the freezer and come back to it next week or something like that. Generally what we do is we'll have our main evening meal, and then the next day that will also be a lunch for us. But beyond that, we get really tired of stuff pretty easy, so we tend to just go ahead and freeze it if we can. Not always, but that's what we try, because there are a few things that just don't freeze well. But for the most part, if you kind of plan how you do it, you can portion in a way that will work better for the freezer. Like if I know that, oh well, this item will get nasty if I freeze it with the sauce on it, maybe I don't start serving it with the sauce on it and I leave the sauce separate. The little things like that, if you kind of think ahead, that helps a lot. Gather fragments and include them in meals. Gather fragments is a phrase from Amy Mariana. You may or may not be familiar with her channel. Awesome YouTube channel. It's very positive and uplifting, and she has a lot of good kitchen tips. But I do believe greatly in that concept, gather the fragments. You may be making a vegetable beef soup and you have all your ingredients for it, but you notice, hey, I got some baked chicken in there and it's just a little bit. It's not going to hurt to toss that baked chicken into that beef soup. It'll still be good, and it'll kind of give a new depth of flavor, and it works and gets the food use down up. Puts a little bit more nutrition in the soup and stretches it a little bit further. So use those leftovers rather than the waste of them. The next one that I had written down there was the freezing the leftovers if you're tired of them. Buy bulk if the price warrants it. Be sure it does. Compare the units. One of the things that has really kind of perplexed me lately is when I go to buy things, usually in the past, bulk or buying a larger quantity was nearly always cheaper. Right now, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And I've almost found more often than not it isn't, and I'm really scratching my head, and I think it's just the wacky supply chains. But like cat food, for the longest time you could always get the box of 36 cans much cheaper. Much cheaper. But lately, no. If you can get them at all, they tend to be running higher if you do that unit cost of cents per can or per ounce, however you want to work it out. Not necessarily coming out cheaper. And I'm finding that with so many things. So unfortunately, if you're going to the store, take the calculator, because you're going to have to sit there and compare. One of the best things you can do is have the prices in your head, and I know that is asking a lot. I sat there last fall and I had an Excel spreadsheet, because I'm pretty good with Excel, and I had worked a ton of my common items out and worked them out with the quantities available and calculated out the unit prices on everything and compared and knew exactly what I was aiming for, from things on dishwasher stuff, you know, to the cat stuff, to, you know, rice and sugar and flour, oats, staples. I wanted to know those unit prices, and I had everything worked out, and they're fluxing prices like so fast. Like a few days later, they'll be back up really, really high again, or diving down. It's just a roller coaster. The large things of ground beef from Walmart, a week and a half ago they were $26. Right now they're $33. They're really fluxing. But no, I knew that off the top of my head, and unfortunately I can sit down and do all that work to get everything logged into Excel to keep my pricing books, but they're fluxing so fast I can't keep up with it, and the only way I can is to know it in my head. I almost have to know it when I'm at the grocery store. Yeah, Walmart sells this particular sugar for this per pound, but here at Aldi it's this. Like right now, I know that the best price on shredded cheeses is about 16 cents an ounce. And it's both at Walmart and Aldi. They both have some cheeses in that ounce price, but a lot of their other cheeses are 22 and 25 cents an ounce. So I always try to aim for the ones that are cheapest. That's kind of one of the quirky things. Block cheese always was cheapest in the past, but it is not right now, at least at both Walmart, Aldi, and Sam's. I also frequent Save-A-Lot. Same thing. I don't understand that, but for whatever reason, the shreddeds are coming out cheaper, and only some of them. So know your prices as much as you can. Get them in your head. It's a whole lot easier if you can just memorize as many as possible. I don't have everything memorized, but I have quite a few of the really common ones. That way I know right off the top of my head what I need to reach for. And always focus on those prices per ounces. If something does have a big drop or a significant change, like butter, if I find that butter there, it was probably 2 months ago, I found butter and they wanted like $1.50 a pound. I bought as many as I could get into my freezer at the time, which wasn't a ton. I think it was like 10 or 15 of them, but I only have so much freezer space out there. I've got 2 very large extra freezers, but they're really full. So buy as much as you can when you find a really, really good deal of something you know you will use and it freezes well or stores well on a shelf. Take advantage of those, and when those things come up, try to have you a grocery budget or something for that. It helps tremendously if you can do that. Not everybody can, and sometimes I can only grab a few of the thing that's really on sale. I wish so much last fall that when those large things of 36 cans of cat food, that when they were down at $11 a box, that I had bought a lot more than 3 boxes. And right now cat food is hard to find, and right now they want about $19 a box for it. So yeah, I wish I had bought a lot more of that, even though at the time I thought, well, this would be fine, there'll be another sale in that time frame, because I kind of expected the normal sale rotation, and that's not happen. You can't expect the normal right now because things just aren't when it comes to grocery shopping. Let's see. Compare units. Okay, stop disposables. This is something I've been trying to do for years. Ever since having babies, I tried not to use too many disposable diapers. I used cloth as much as I could, though I used a blend, because sometimes it's just more convenient. Like if I was going to church, it was just a lot more convenient to slap a disposable on there. But in general, I tried to use cloth as much as practical, and it helped and saved a ton of money. Cloth wipes, all of that. Using your cloth towels instead of paper towels, using handkerchiefs instead of tissues. Right now I'm still using tissues, but I need to make a new batch of handkerchiefs. I have some fabric set aside that I'm probably going to use that. I've got some extra cloth napkins that I'm working on. I've done these things in the past, and some of them I'm redoing again to pull the brakes because I'd let disposables back in more than I should have. So I'm trying to recorrect and fix these things too. I do still use paper towels some for like really nasty things, like when I'm re-greasing my cast iron pans or something like that. I'm not going to use a regular cloth for that. I'm going to use paper towel, but keep it for the really nasty cleanups, and then use your cloth where you can just wash and launder and hang them out. Let's see, stop convenience packs. Yeah, convenience stuff in that vein is essentially what I mean, but that can apply to a lot of things, whether it's like convenience wipes or convenience like little teeny packets of nuts that are snack size, or so many little things that everything's in little convenience packaging, and it always nearly costs a lot more per ounce an item when you do that. The wipes and stuff particularly is what I had on my mind when I wrote that out. I do use like some of those disposable wipes and stuff for the toilet, but for everything else I'm trying to use cloth. Some of the convenience things can be really worth it in some areas, but it depends on the price. I have my limits. You know, if those things go up anymore, I'm not going to use them for the toilet. So it depends on what you're doing, but convenience packs in so many things are just insanely high usually. So if you can eliminate that, all the better. If you at least reduce it and only use it where it really is important, or it really counts for you. Convenience eyeglasses wipes, that's one that we've kind of eliminated, and we're just using an alcohol spray and a good clean cloth. So much better than all the little disposable wipes. I like having the disposable wipes in my purse for when I'm out and about, but you know, you gotta reduce it and use them wisely. Meats, processed whole chickens and larger cuts per pound price is king. Absolutely, very, very true. If you're buying meat, it's very rare that little convenience packages are going to be cheaper. This is one that I think still holds very true to the norm. Large packages of beef are usually cheaper. Large whole uncut chickens are generally cheaper. There can be an exception on the chicken if Walmart still has them. They did the last I looked. They were just riding a little higher. They have bags of legs and bags of the thighs. And those particular cuts of, I think it was Purdue that was producing them, those bags are like 10 pounds, and they like are, some of them, they have them down like 60 cents a pound. You can't even buy whole chicken for that. But usually whole chicken, if you take that whole chicken and cut it up and process it yourself, I know it takes time, but you can do it. That whole chicken per pound will come out a whole lot less. Now, yes, you have bones. Technically, you might say, oh, well, it's cheaper if I just get this chicken breast. If chicken breast is truly all you want, maybe it might come out that way. But if you would use that whole chicken, take the bones and use them for broth, and you could roast the whole chicken, eat the meat off of it, and then next day that can be a soup, and have your broth already done and whatnot. And there's just so much you can do with that. You can use every ounce of that chicken. So the pound price is so much better if you take the time to cut it up. It's not a fun thing. I personally, yeah, I prefer, like when I buy chicken thighs, I really prefer the deboned ones most of the time because it's a lot easier. But it depends on what you're willing to pay. Is that convenience really worth it, or do you need to get your grocery budget down? Sometimes you have to put the big girl britches on and debone the thighs. Even my 10-year-old was able to help me debone thighs recently. I didn't really want her doing that kind of knife work that day, but she kept pushing to learn and kept pushing to learn. I'm like, all right, you're pretty good with the knife in general, as you're, you know, she's learned a lot. And she sat there and she was deboning those chicken thighs right along with me, and I really appreciated that because I don't really like doing it. But it needed done. I had gotten a good deal, and I'd bought several bags of those big chicken thighs, and I wanted some of them pre-deboned before I froze them because I didn't want to have to do that every time I made a meal. So it was a lot easier for me to sit down and do that in bulk. And even better that I had a little helper. I appreciated that. Let's see. Canned and processed, and I put storage and cheap protein. Basically, you can can your own meat if you learn how to do canning. But two, it is important, while it is not the cheapest way to obtain your meat and your protein, but to have some for food storage of canned meats, like Spam, like I know you guys are going to gross out at this, like Vienna sausages and things like that. Tuna, salmon, corned beef is a good one. There's lots of canned meats out there. They're not the cheapest when it comes to, like, you can usually buy your fresh meats cheaper, but they can be just fantastic for that shelf stability. Nothing else is as shelf stable, you know, meat wise. So grab those if you don't know how to can yourself, and even if you do, maybe still grab some anyway. That way you have some protein in your food storage, and hopefully you have some food storage. I've talked about that. A lot of other people are talking about that. Hopefully you're heeding that. I cannot emphasize enough, have as much as you can handle, both in what you can afford in space and all that. I know not everybody has the space, not everybody has the funds, but we all need to be doing something toward food storage, even apart from all of the cray-cray going on in the past year or two. I'm a prepper, okay? It is what it is. I think it's important. I am not an insane one. I don't have a crazy amount of stuff, but I try to have what's practical, because you never know when a job loss or any number of things might occur. All right, that's the last tip I want to give for today. I will break the others into future videos. I do have several pages more, so, you know, if you have your own tips, again, please leave them in the comments. I hope the video has blessed you. Have a great day.